Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Well, let's stay on the roads. It's been a very sorrowful start to the week with accidents here and there. It's not clear if the rains have anything to do with this, but at least we know that the roads have become dangerous due to the rains. At Ofankor here in Accra, there was one, and then we'll also talk about what happened in Kumasi. So then, how do we keep ourselves safe on the roads? Have here in the studio Henry Asumeni. He's with the National Road Safety Commission. Mr. Asumeni, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I also have here in the studio George AC. He is with NADMO, Public Affairs Director at NADMO. So we'll talk about how we keep safe and the warning that's coming from that outfit for you to stay safe on the road, even as we have these unexpected rains. Mr. AC, you're welcome as well.
Yeah, thank you, Gifty.
All right, so let's start with the what has NADMO gathered over the weekend? I mean, it's been raining even before the weekend, and then over the weekend there were these heavy rains. What is the assessment?
Good afternoon to your viewers. So far, we've not had any serious distress call at our emergency operations center yet, but our men have been going around and they've observed some floods in and around town. So yes, we know it's raining, and we have always said, you know, October this time, you know, the kind of rains that are falling, it's not that heavy, but it's continuous and long.
But well, that's if you're going by what we know
yes,
in the past,
yes,
right? Because what the kind of rain that we saw, for example, even on Sunday, it's heavy.
It's heavy and continuous, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to soak into the land, and then it will give result to flooding as well. We were expecting heavy rain as predicted by GMET from April. They had told us it will extend up to July and then to September, but we had some respite. And now it's back. But normally, when I was in secondary school,
I mean, these are clearly signs of climate change. That the patterns, the climate patterns are not the same.
Yes. So we should all be bring our mind to the fact that the rains are back, and then we ought to be careful when we are going about our duties. Not more. We are ready. Our community sensitization is ongoing. You know, we did it when the rains were serious. We didn't stop. It's ongoing, and it will continue to go on. We pray we don't get serious problems with houses collapsing and other things, so we wouldn't have to get a lot of victims as a result of flooding. But whatever, when it does happen, we are on standby to go support individuals who are likely to lose their livelihoods.
I'll still be sharing some of the messages that you've been sending us about your road. Of course, we're talking about roads, how we keep safe on our roads, how our vehicles fare on the road. So let's get to the National Road Safety Commission. Mr. Asumeni, it's good to have you. We've had you quite a number of times here, and I'm wondering if anything has changed in terms of what we have monitored on our roads, accidents, etc. Have we made any changes that you'd like to share with us?
Thank you, and good afternoon to our viewers. You know, when we are in the rainy season, the roads become dangerous because, as we all know, the roads are such that when rain falls, it becomes slippery. So when you're on the roads and then you drive as normal, let's say you drive like we're in the dry season, then it becomes very dangerous because you don't tend to take some things into consideration that you should.
So give us a typical example. If you take the motorway, for example, and it's raining, so the usual speed you can go on the motorway, for example, according to the National Road Safety Commission, is 100?
They're not according to us. The speed limit for the road is 100.
It's 100,
yes.
Right? Okay, so when it's raining.
So when we say that...
what's the limit?
Okay. No, the speed limit on the road is 100. But we say that when the conditions do not allow you to drive up to the 100, then you shouldn't drive up to the 100. As per my perspective, when you're driving on the motorway and it is raining heavily, the maximum you should be going is between 50 and 60. Why? Because we have something we call the braking distance. And the braking distance is the time that you decide to brake up to the point where you actually stop. And this is longer when there's rain. So under normal circumstances, the road is made such that when you are driving at 100 and then you see a hazard, you can't be able to stop in time.
Okay.
But when it has rained and now the road has become slippery, this braking distance becomes longer. So it means that if you are driving at 100, When the road is dry, you can stop in time. But if it is not dry, maybe you should have stopped maybe 10 meters. Now, because it's not dry, to go to about 15 meters.
Okay.
So if you want to still stop within 10 meters, then it means that your speed shouldn't be as high as like if it's dry.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that we do. So on a typical motorway, I would suggest that you don't go above 60 kilometers per hour when it is raining.
Okay.
There's another thing that we call hydroplaning or aquaplaning. What happens is that, you know, when it rains, rain forms on the road. As rain forms on the road, when as your tires go on the road with speed, there's the water on the road forms beneath your tire. So it will get to a time that your car will become so light that there's water has formed between your tires and the road. It means that your tires are not touching the roads. And if anything happens and you need to brake, that is where you skid off. Okay. So that is why when it is raining, we advise that you don't even go up to the posted speed limit. So if the motorway is 100, when it is raining, don't go up to that 100.
Okay. Are there any other tips you can share with drivers for the rainy season? What I've noted right now is the speed limits during the rainy season, because of all the mechanisms that you've, the technical explanations that you've showed us with the ties and the connection that the tie has with the ground, etc. What other tips can you share with drivers for rainy season?
Okay, when we are in the rainy season, there are 3 things that every driver should look out for. The first thing is your wipers. You should ensure that your wipers are in good condition, because if it's raining, it's the wipers that would keep the windshield clear for you, so that you can see the road. Then also,
what is a wiper in good condition?
A wiper in good condition is a wiper that can wipe your windshield clear. You know, sometimes when the wiper wipes it and then you see that the middle, it doesn't wipe it, those ones are not good wipers. Okay. So it should be such that it can wipe it clear so that you can see.
Okay, at once, as in when it takes a swipe like that, no, you know that it wipes it clear?
The wiper works this way. The first swipe takes some of the water off, and the second swipe clears the glass. Okay. So if your second swipe does not clear the glass, it means that your wipers are not good. Okay. Okay. Then also the next thing you should be looking at is your brakes. You know, brakes are such that when brakes heat up as you drive. Okay. So when it comes into contact with water, the likelihood that the parts can fall off is high. So what we advise is, especially when you drive through water, let's say there's a flooded area, you pass through. When you pass through it, please just assess your brakes. How do you assess your brakes? When you come out of the water, just drive a little on and step on the brake. You would feel it if the brakes are working as it should. If it is not working as it should, we advise that if it is still raining, you just park and wait for the rain to go off, and then go to the nearest mechanic for them to check for you.
How do you know that the brake is not working as it should? I mean,
as I said, you know your car, you know how your brakes work. So after passing through that deep water, you just accelerate a little and brake.
See if it,
see if it's still working like how it was working.
When you apply the brakes.
Yes. Okay. If it is not working as how it was working, then you should just park off if it's still raining. If it's not raining, just locate the nearest mechanical shop and let them check the parts for you. Maybe the parts have come off. Okay,
well, I want to finish with you so that we can focus a lot more on the roads. And Mr. Isi, I'll have you think about this so that when we come to you, you tell us he's talking about parking a vehicle. I'll come back to you. I'm not even taking the question. I just want him to think about it. That when you park the vehicle, sometimes they've said that it's safer for you to move gradually until you get home, because we don't know how safe it is when you park your car somewhere, because it might flood. You never know. So back to you though, on the point you're making. You've talked about speed limits. You talk about how the tires work when it's raining. You talk about wipers that have to be in good condition, and then assessing the brakes.
Yes. The last one I was going to talk about, I think you've mentioned, is the tires.
Oh, the tires.
You should ensure that your tires are in good condition. How do you assess that your tires are in good condition? Okay. The thread should be more than the legal limit.
Okay, what does that mean?
You know that every tire has grooves within it. Okay. And the grooves within the tire allows water to flow. Let's say if you are driving, it allows the water to flow under the tires, so that you still have contact with the ground.
With the ground, yes. Okay.
So we call something Sakura tires. When you say Sakura tires, it means that the grooves have all worn off. Okay. And if you are driving with a Sakura tire, the likelihood that you would hydroplane or aquaplane is very high.
What is hydro and aquaplane?
That is, hydroplaning is when water forms between your tie and the ground, so that the ties are not touching the road.
Ground, okay. Wow.
So if your grooves are good enough, you realize that that water that is forming will be going out through the grooves. But because it's a sakura tie,
the very simple way to describe the grooves is the holes in between, or the markings on the tie, and the holes.
Not the markings on the side, on the tie
on the tie itself.
Yes.
You know, I don't know how to.
Some are zigzag, some are straight.
Exactly. So when you take the tie, you see that it's not smooth. So those spaces in between.
Yes, those
that's
spaces.
what you're talking about.
Those are the grooves, and that is what allows water to pass through. So that if you are on the road, and the water on the road would pass in between those grooves to allow contact with a tie on the ground. So when it's a sakura tie, because the water cannot pass, they form under the tie. And that is when you hydroplane. When you hydroplane, it only means that your ties are not touching the ground and water is in between the two. And that causes skidding, especially when you when you have to brake all of a sudden, it causes skidding. Or you have to steer, it causes skidding. So those are some of the things that when it is raining, you have to really
look out for. I don't know if there's more that you can add, but let me just take these quick messages. This one says, you're doing a very good job. Thanks very much for the road program, Samuel Asari Mante. I hope that it helps you in this rainy season and that you stay put on the road. And this one, Martin, you don't tell us where you're sending the message from, but you say they always educate drivers, but yet drive carelessly. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about National Road Safety Commission, and you're saying that the National Road Safety Commission is advising us, but they are not driving well. I don't know if you've seen Mr. Asmani driving somewhere, and he didn't drive well, but I'm not sure what that message is. Okay, let's see. This one says, in fact, Ghana is not a serious country. As a serious country, we should have considered our road first and contract the abysmal roads with massive potholes and gutters so that the transportation will be easier. Okay, so you're talking generally about that. Well, so let's get back on the road. Some of you have been sending us pictures and videos from your neighborhoods, how your roads look like as it rained today. Let's take this one and take yeah, let's go for this. So this one is what I read to you earlier. It's sent to us from the northern parts of the country. It says, this is what we went through to connect from Pong Tamale to Ga. I don't know if it's the name of a place, GAA, on the Karaga, in the Karaga constituency of the northern region. You say that the collapse of the bridge has led to several communities being cut off from either sending their goods to sell in Karaga market or Savelugu markets. Mr. Isi, I hope you're taking a look at this. Yeah. And I'm not sure. This looks quite remote, but you certainly have your people around here?
Yeah, we do.
So what's going to happen?
About their crossing of the place.
I mean, it looks like the place is quite flooded. They say that it's a bridge that's broken.
Yes, yes. If there's such problem, that's what they do. They try to help each other to cross the place. And until the bridge is constructed, there's very little. All we can do is get our men to be guiding them to move. We do assessment. If the place is deep, our men sometimes stop them from going into the water to cross. But sometimes they feel they can do it. Last year when we had the spillage of the Bagri Dam, such incidents occurred. We had advised them not to go crossing the river, but they did. And some people got drowned. Okay, so they feel they've been crossing it all the time. Yeah. They know how to swim, and so your advice, sometimes you better keep it. Because so we've lived here all the time. Yeah, sometimes we face those challenges. I see. Sometimes, but sometimes too, our men help them to do the crossing.
So we're having a conversation about our roads and about the rains and about how to stay safe on the roads from the NADMO perspective, and how to stay safe on the road from the National Road Safety Commission perspective. From the National Road Safety Commission, they've just given us some tips, and I believe that there's perhaps a bit more that he'll share with us before he leaves. And the tips include observing the speed limits, but if it is raining, the common sense to do, commonsensical thing to do. I was thinking to myself here, is to is to reduce the speed limit. So even if it allows you to go 100, you know that it's raining, and so the dynamics are not the same. So you go 60, 40, maybe even 20 sometimes, because on the motorway, for example, it gets very, very scary. He talks about wipers, making sure that your wipers are in good condition so they can clear your screen for you and you can see straight and then you can drive. He talks also about assessing your brakes. Says if you pass through let's say a pool of water on the road because of potholes, etc., then you move forward, you assess your brakes, you accelerate and apply the brake, try and see if it works properly. If it doesn't, you get someone to take care of it, and then your tires also have to be in a good condition. Do not use the Sakura kind of the Sakura one. We still have some videos that we need to share, but I want us to wrap up with the conversation on the road, on the accident, from the Road Safety Commission. With these that you have shared with us, what else do we have to know? We'll talk about motorbikes as well. I don't know if your statistics show that when it rains, we have motorbikes, you know, involved in accidents as well. This morning there was a truck. So are the dynamics the same, you know, for those who use, let's say, four-wheel drives or saloon vehicles, and those who are driving trucks, those who are driving motorbikes? Are the dynamics the same?
Okay.
Maybe before you go, you had the brothers on the mountains, foggy situations ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go for it, and then we add the foggy ones. And then we call it a wrap on the road safety bit. Yeah.
Generally, motorcycle crashes and fatalities have been on the rise.
Okay.
And in the rainy, when it's raining, most people do not ride because of how the motorbikes are.
Yeah.
You know, when it's raining,
it doesn't cover you.
So the rain. So most of the times when it's raining, you find the motorbikes parked on the side of the road and they're shed waiting for the rains to go. But then the same thing applies, especially when it comes to the tires and the brakes. The same thing applies to the motorbikes. But as I said, most of the times during raining, you don't find them. But after the rains have gone and there's still water on the roads, if as a motorbike you are riding and then you are riding at speeds that are beyond the limit, or that are not, we say, of logical reasoning, meaning that if you look at the road condition, the speed at which you are driving doesn't make sense, then you would also hydroplane.
Okay.
And for motorbikes, it's worse because you can just slip. It's not like a vehicle that maybe it's when you are steering or braking that it affects you. For them, you can just slip.
You can just slip. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I hope that's.
Then for our brothers and sisters in the mountainous areas where it's very foggy. Okay, before I figure out the foggy one, let me just say something. When it's raining, the first thing you realize is that visibility becomes poor. And because visibility becomes poor, just put on your headlights. Okay. Why do you put on your headlight? Your headlights is not for you to see. Of course, people will say, I can see. But it's for someone to see you. You see, because visibility is poor, when I am driving and you are coming, the likelihood that I might see you is low. But if you have your headlights on, that I will see the light and I will know that, okay, there's a vehicle coming. Okay. You understand? So when it's raining, please put on your headlights.
And the hazards as well?
No. You see, the hazard is for when your vehicle has a fault.
Okay.
And as I said, let's say it's raining and then you feel that visibility is very poor, you can't drive on. Just go off the road to a safe place. Then when you have parked, you can put on the hazard. What it's telling is that anybody coming in will know that, okay, there's a vehicle on the side of the road. So, but when you are driving, use the headlights, don't use the hazard lights. The hazard lights are for when there's a fault with your vehicle, but you need to be moving. Then that one, you use the hazard light. Okay. Now in foggy conditions, especially on the mountains, you should still use your headlights, but don't use the high beams. When you use a high beam in foggy condition, what it does is that if the light is thrown back to you, because you know the high beams more comes up. So when it hits the fog, it's thrown back to you. Okay. So it makes seeing virtually impossible.
Impossible, okay.
You understand? So you have to use the low beams when you are doing foggy areas. And the low beams helps you see the route. and also allows others to see you when they are approaching you.
Very well. I think that as the rains continue, we'll bring back this conversation. But let me come to NADMO, as we call it, a wrap. So I spoke about parking. What's the safest thing to do? Gradually making your way through the rain to get home, or parking somewhere, because there are fears that once you park, wherever you're parked could also get flooded.
Yeah, what we advise is to park, find a safe place, which is a bit higher, and park. But over the weekend when we're going to Tepa for funeral, some of our members confronted a similar situation. The place was flooded. There was no place for them to park. And so they took the risk and drove through. It was very dangerous. If the rain sweeps you to the right side, there's a deep hole there and there's trouble. Okay, so we advise you don't drive through flooded waters. I've learned a vocabulary, hydroplane. I was explaining it to be, if you drive through the water, the frictional force reduces. And that's what he meant by the hydroplane. Okay, so that is the danger. And so the water will have its way. Our surest way and bet is park, find a higher ground somewhere and park and wait for the rains to stop, so you can then move on.
Okay.
If you feel you must go, be sure that you are familiar with the road and know where you drive through.
Okay.
If you are not familiar with the road, don't take that risk.
If you're not familiar with the road, don't take that risk. If you're familiar with the road, look for a place that's safe, park there. When the rains subside, you can go home. But I don't know. But usually what I do is that I try and make it home safely, because you never know where it's safe.
But it's risky.
In Accra. But anyway,
risky.
Well, let's try and stay safe. As the days go ahead, we'll be talking more about this so that we can take some of the precautions. Finally, what is the plan? I almost said UND.
Yeah. NADMO is in there. You know, we celebrated our International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction last
Let's focus on NADMO's plan. Now that the rains are coming, I mean, we weren't expecting, I'm not sure we're expecting this much rain. You've talked about the dynamics. What is the plan? NADMO, you have a plan to deal with this unexpected, trend?
Oh, definitely. We've always been, it's an emergency organization. So we are on standby for any emergency case. We pray it doesn't happen. When it does, and you call us, our search and rescue team is on standby 24/7 to support. Anyway, just call emergency lines and our men will be dispatched to the place to help.
Okay, so let me wrap up with some comments here. Some of the videos, I mean, we've received videos, pictures from across the country. Everybody seems to have a problem as far as the roads are concerned and the rains and what is done to the road. This one says the road at Akosombo leading to Sapo, Ajina, Jekiti, and Nyasi is cut off by the rain. We are pleading with the authorities to come to our aid. No, this is not it. This is coming from Akosombo. Mr. Isi, I hope that your people have taken note of this. And you can get to them. It's in Akosombo. They said the road that leads to Jakiti, etc., has been cut off. Take a look at this video, though.
Okay.
Oh, Shagata Mayo, Minya Samkepa Shagata, Data Pana Yamasano, Data Pana Yamasano, Aya Samkepa, Osha Devi, not yes, I can in the Mua, Shagata no. Gata bridge o maye na aye sa no gata bridge o maye na aye sa no bridge kitwa no na nso yi ha fa so sa no anya asam ketwa de nso ni namunum no gata tia na o maye no ni o maye na tia no na aye ma sa no
Sally, you're hearing somebody talking about the gutter, and you say, I can't even see a gutter. All I see, you see the gutter? Because I don't see it. It looks like the gutter has been completely taken over. Okay. But it's a gutter that's overflown. It's just no longer a gutter anymore. So the gentleman is lamenting the gutter, the state of the gutter there.
The gutter is problematic.
It's all
especially the tertiary drains.
Well, we've got a lot of these pictures and these videos coming in. I'll be sharing some of them with you. But thank you so much for coming. George AEC has the PR department of the NADMO. He joins us here in the studio. Mr. AEC, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Henry Asmani is with the National Road Safety Commission. Mr. Asmani, thank you very much for coming as well. So back to some of your messages that you've sent through. I'm going to quickly go through. This one says, Kufado has failed good people of Ghana, and I believe Ghanaian would vote him out 2020. Well, this one is sending a video from Kutumbili Road, a community of Zabzugu in the northern region. Well, it's I'm not playing that video to you at the moment, but that's the message that's coming from there. He says this one is sending us from the German South Municipal Assembly. Alex is sending it from Drobo. He says, good evening, Joy News. Please let the government understand that German South Municipal is also part of Ghana. We are suffering, but it seems no one wants to listen to us. All the 4 principal roads in the municipality are either like this or worse. You sent a video. We'll put that video up. He says it's so sad that people have died on the roads, yet nothing is being done to at least reshape it for us. Please help us. Alex sent that message from Drobo. This one says, you're doing a good job. Thanks very much for the road program. Oh, Samuel, I've read this message already. So I get some pictures here. Current situation at the Gurugu Jisonaili Road. We need help. We need help. And this message is coming from Billy Thomas. Billy Thomas says the Gurugu Jisonaili Road. I hope that the municipal assembly there is listening and or watching and can send some help to these people. This person also sends some videos from the Volta region. Says we Voltarians are tired of the NPP and NDC governments. We need a third party. You say the NPP government is the worst government I've ever seen in my life. They promise plenty. What a government. 2020 is just at the corner. Richard from Aplau in the Volta region. This one is coming from Big Joe in Takrade. He says this is a very good program to reach a wider audience, especially the commercial drivers. You translate this into local language and air it on FM stations. You're sending this message to Mr. Sumeni. You say he has a grip on the matter. Big Joe, thanks for sending your message. I've got a lot of videos from Espresso Adeja. That story that we did, we played you that story from last year that Erastus Asari-Donko filed. But we've seen a lot of videos as well. The state of that bridge in Espresso, totally, completely insane. This one sends a message from Pandai. He says, Pandai to Salaga Road in the northern region is very bad. Please tell the politicians for us. Now, what we'll do is I will put together these videos and then we'll play it here on Joy News. We'll draw attention of the authorities to it. Keep them coming. You can also drop it on our Facebook wall. You can also drop us a message on Twitter. We'll put those videos and those pictures together. Like I say, we'll play it here. We'll get some responses for you.